Let's talk about security. This is actually really important, so make sure you watch this video. So, hackers are real and they want to try to get into your sites, and especially when you get big. Because when you get big and you get a lot of traffic, you become more of a target, and hackers will try to get into your site. Ignoring security will ruin your business. It can happen. I've seen it happen. You've got to be proactive about it. Be smart and safe. Don't think it can't happen to you, because it will happen to you if you are not smart and safe. We do everything we can to prevent hackers on our servers, but you need to follow safe security practices. I'm going to go over some of those. So the first thing you need to do is always make sure you use a hard password, especially for your admin login. Now, you've been given a very hard password. Don't change it to something easy that can be easily guessed. Always make sure you use a very, very hard password. And WordPress can actually even generate a hard password for you. Never send your username and password in an email. So like if you're, for some reason, you're sending your username and password to somebody, don't say, hey, here's my WordPress username and here's my password, because now if someone ever hacks into your email account or whatever, then they've got your password. What we will generally do is we'll send it two ways. Like if you message someone on Skype and say, here's my username, then I'll text them and say, here's my password. So have it split up into two different areas, or do like a secure Google Doc or something like that. But keep it, don't ever send it in and put it in an email. Run antivirus and anti-malware on your computer. This is actually one of the main ways that sites get hacked into, is because you get spyware or you get something on your computer, and there are things called keyloggers, and people are actually monitoring your keystrokes, and they can actually get into your email, they can get into everything. And so it's important that you run those things on your computer. This is probably one of the other big reasons hackers can get into your WordPress, is if you install a plugin from an unknown source or a plugin that's not very well known. What happens is there's hackers that will pretend like they're programmers, and they'll create these little useful tools that you can use for WordPress, but really it's a spyware tool. And WordPress tries to do its best, and the community tries to do its best to block these, but even sometimes very well-known plugins will have issues. So don't go just install any old plugin. Really research it, make sure it's a well-known plugin, and make sure you read the reviews. The community usually polices itself, but you'll see that there's people all the time trying to get into your site by weird plugins. Always keep your plugins and WordPress up to date. So when you're in your WordPress site, right up here at the top, it'll give you notifications if something needs to be updated. And WordPress, right now we have your site set up so it'll just automatically update the core files, but your plugins can get updated, and that's important because sometimes hackers find a vulnerability even in a really good plugin, and it needs to be updated. WordFence is going to email you and let you know when you have plugins that need to be updated, and I'll talk about what WordFence is here in just a moment. Don't give people administrator access. Okay, now let me show you what I mean. If you go into your users group, you have your user name and you have your password, and you are an administrator. Now we also have our support, virtual site system support, where we have administrator rights in here. If you want us to help manage your site, you want to keep that in there. If you don't want us in there, you can delete it, but then you lose a lot of your support and management that you're paying for. So don't create new admin users. Every single admin user that you create, you're creating a potential spot that a hacker can get into. Nobody else is going to need administrator rights in your program unless you have somebody who is maybe like has to do everything you need to do. And then in that case, if you do give them administrator, they have to follow security protocols as well. Usually you give them what's called editor role, and that's or contributor, and that's all they ever need. Don't ever use the username admin. By default, a long time ago, the default username was admin, and hackers will just automatically try to hack in with that, and then they'll just try to hack your password. Let's see. Watch out for phishing emails. Sometimes you might get emails from people that say, hey, this is support, we need to monitor your site, and blah, blah, blah. You can usually look at those emails and see if it's really coming from you know, a true source. Don't ever just give out your username and password nilly-willy like that in an email. We've installed a plugin called WordFence Security. It's one of the top security plugins. You'll find it here in your settings under WordFence. And it's a very good one. It's not 100% foolproof. I'm just going to kind of walk you through it. Here's the one thing about WordFence is if you go screwing around with your system and start changing files, FTP, and doing all these crazy things, your WordPress site's going to think you're a hacker, and you could actually get locked out of your own site. So let me just kind of quickly show you with WordFence. This is the free version. You can grab a license for pretty cheap. It's a yearly license. You can click Start a WordFence Scan, and it'll just kind of scan your system, and it'll alert you when things need to happen. And for example, these were some plugins that we needed to update, and we did that. So you can say I fixed that issue, and it'll kind of let you know. It'll let you know when people have logged in, when an administrator logs in. So you can, you know, you don't really need to go mess around with these different options. But if you start to get a lot of notifications, you can kind of tone those down a little bit. So it'll let you know when people are trying to, you know, log in, and it happens all the time. So one of the things we like on is alert me when someone with administrator access signs in. So the only person that has administrator access is you and our support team. And we're not going to log in that often, usually only when you request it. And occasionally we'll let people know if we're going to log into their site. So if you start getting these, you know, login things that people have logged in, especially like if it says you've logged in and you know you didn't log in recently, then that could be a hacker. So be really careful about that. So just kind of read through some of these, and if you need to make adjustments, we'll put updates to this video also in the mastermind forum if there's anything that we feel that you need to change in here. So WordFence is a great plugin for security. So make sure that you are always you know, using WordFence. But here's the thing: even the best sites can get hacked. I mean, how many times do you see on the news that all these like big company corporate sites get hacked? It happens, and hopefully it won't happen to you. But if it does, there are things in place. We do server backups every single night, and we keep lots of those. We can go back several days on those. But you also have what's called Updraft Plus installed on your account. Let me show you how to get to that. It's on Settings, Updraft Plus Backups. And I showed this in a previous video, but I'll show you it one more time. You have different backups that can run in here, and you can set the settings. We'd recommend that you just set this to 3. By default, it's just going to back up the files right on your server. So if a hacker did get in, he could just delete these files. And the other problem is if you store all your backups on your server, then when your site gets really big, you're going to use up all your hard drive space. So there's options in here to send your backups to other systems like Google Drive, Dropbox, FTP. There's just other things that you can use. So we recommend that you take some time and set that up. Do a daily backup. The other thing that's nice is every time you do update your plugins, it'll take an automatic backup as well. So there's a lot of cool features in that. Just make sure that you always have backups to save you. Do offsite backups. So let's just talk about it. If your site gets hacked, then it's a mess, and we can help you get that going, and there's other people that can help you get that going, but you can use some of your support credits to help fix the mess of getting hacked. Let's cross fingers, hope that never happens. In fact, most likely if you just follow the good procedures, you'll never ever get hacked, but even the best sites get hacked every once in a while. So that's why we have this video, so that you understand about how important security is for your viral site.